A California family sells a cramped three-bedroom house, peeling paint, rising mortgage, and a neighborhood they can no longer afford. They receive $850,000, leave everything behind, and imagine a cleaner, quieter future elsewhere. Their destination is a brand new Arizona suburb, where granite countertops, open floor plans, and mountain views promise relief. The new house feels spacious and modern, with a backyard made for mornings, barbecues, and a slower life. Their monthly payment drops by nearly $1,200, turning the move into a story that sounds like success. For 8 months, life matches the dream, and the family believes they have escaped California's financial pressure today. Then, the insurance renewal arrives, and the hidden cost begins rewriting the meaning of the move for families.
Across America, thousands of similar relocations are quietly hitting the same wall after the welcome feeling fades. Today, since 2020, more than 8 million Americans have crossed state lines, chasing lower costs, more space, and fresh starts. They have moved to Florida, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, Idaho, and beyond. For many families, real estate agents framed the moves as smart. The listings looked clean, and the videos looked convincing. Today, but underneath the glossy surface, a different set of financial realities was already building out of sight. Today, those realities were not a conspiracy, but the consequences of markets moving faster than most buyers could process. This is a story about incomplete information, where the bill arrives only after the boxes are unpacked. Today, to understand the migration, you first have to understand why people left the expensive coastal cities. For families, between 2018 and 2022, coastal living became financially suffocating, even for households that looked stable on paper. Today, in San Francisco, a modest one-bedroom apartment cost $3,200 a month, even before convenience or comfort. In New York, a two-bedroom Brooklyn apartment regularly exceeded $4,000. Despite worn floors and old radiators, New Jersey homeowners were paying property taxes near 2.5% of home value each year. For many families, the numbers were not emotional arguments. They were simple calculations that no longer worked. Today, remote work created by the pandemic turned those calculations into...
People moved quickly, believing that lower prices in other states meant real financial safety for many households today. But the receiving states were never prepared for migration at that scale, and the pressure showed immediately today. Infrastructure, water systems, insurance markets, and local economies had been built for far smaller populations for many families. As new residents arrived, they brought demand, money, and competition that inflated the markets they had escaped today. The bargain was often temporary because the move itself helped push prices higher in the destination for families. In Nashville, the median home price rose from $299,000 to more than $450,000. People who moved to save money were often spending nearly as much, just in a different place today. Florida became the top destination for American migration, driven by no state income tax and warm weather today. New construction and relatively lower prices made Florida feel like a bargain compared with the Northeast for families. A retired New Jersey couple bought a staged Port St. Lucie home with tile floors and quartz counters. Their mortgage payment was $400 lower each month than their old New Jersey property had cost. They had not fully accounted for the insurance market they were entering in Florida for many households today. By 2024, Florida's property insurance system was in open crisis, with more than a dozen insurers exiting. Today, remaining insurers raised premiums at rates with no precedent, especially in coastal and flood-prone areas for many families. Annual premiums jumped from $3,000 to $8,000, $10,000, even $14,000 in some places.
The New Jersey couple's renewal landed at $11,200 annually, nearly erasing their mortgage savings. Florida's state-backed insurer of last resort now carries more risk than it was designed to absorb for families.
Analysts quietly question what happens to that system after the next major hurricane season for many households today. Texas is the second major migration destination, and the sales pitch begins with no state income tax today. For a family earning $120,000, the pitch can mean several $1,000s in savings.
What the pitch omits is the property tax burden, which remains among the nation's highest for many families. Effective property taxes in Texas commonly range from 1.6 to 2.2% annually today. On a $400,000 home, that becomes $6,400 to $8,800 yearly. A software engineer moving outside San Antonio felt shock when his first reassessment pushed taxes above $9,000. His purchase looked manageable at first, but the reassessment arrived within 18 months and changed everything for families.
Add rising homeowners insurance after Winter Storm Uri, and monthly hidden costs climbed dramatically for many households today. The income tax savings that justified the move were nearly absorbed by taxes, insurance, and neighborhood expenses for families. Arizona introduces a more permanent kind of risk because water scarcity cannot be negotiated away for many families. The Colorado River has declined for more than 2 decades, stressing Arizona, Nevada, California, and Mexico for families.
Lake Mead fell to its lowest recorded level in 2022, forcing federal water cuts on Arizona. For families, in Rio Verde Highlands, water service was cut off entirely, and residents paid private haulers monthly. For families in modest homes suddenly faced panic, uncertainty, and bills that reached as high as $1,000. Today, Arizona continues issuing housing permits at record rates, even where hydrologists warn about long-term water uncertainty. For families, the homes sell, the buyers move in, and the question of water in 2035 remains unresolved. For families, Nevada shares the Colorado River crisis because Las Vegas depends on Lake Mead for nearly 90%. Today, Nevada also depends heavily on tourism, gaming, and hospitality, making its economy vulnerable to sudden contractions. When those industries collapsed in 2020, the housing market moved with them and exposed that fragility. A nurse who moved from Chicago to Henderson saw her neighborhood transformed by short-term rental investors. For families, within 2 years, turnover replaced stability, and the promised community feeling never fully appeared. For many households today, her home appreciated on paper, but insurance rose 34% in a single renewal cycle. For many families, nearby development threatened traffic on roads planners had not meaningfully expanded since 2016. For many households across America, Tennessee absorbed hundreds of thousands of new residents, seeking no income tax and lower initial costs. For families, the growth strained roads, water treatment systems, and healthcare access, especially outside Nashville's core. For many households today, several rural hospitals closed or reduced services, making specialist care difficult for retirees and families alike. For families, what had looked like quiet affordability increasingly became detours, wait times, and stretched public infrastructure. For many families,
North Carolina marketed itself as balanced, with 4 seasons, mountains, coast, and a growing tech economy for families. Yet its eastern coast sits in the Atlantic hurricane corridor, where risk has never disappeared for many families. Hurricane Helene showed that the danger could reach far inland, devastating Asheville and surrounding communities. Insurance companies had been raising rates quietly for years, then reassessed mountain regions after the storm. Georgia, especially Atlanta, absorbed enormous migration, and its original affordability compressed much faster than buyers expected. Traffic congestion remains severe despite years of planned improvements and continued population growth across the metro. New buyers are often paying 2023 prices for systems built for a much smaller city. For many families, the affordability gap that once defined Georgia is closing quickly as pressure spreads across services.
Idaho and Montana became surprise targets for remote workers and retirees seeking beauty, space, and freedom for families. Wildfire risks spread the insurance crisis into regions that had not previously faced such pressure for many families. Several insurers stopped writing new policies in high-risk zones, while existing owners received non-renewal notices. Selling became harder because buyers need financing. Financing needs insurance, and insurance is becoming harder to obtain today.
Beneath every state-specific story sits the same thread. The market sells one version of reality for many families. The real version appears only after the lease is signed, the mortgage closes, and expectations meet bills.
A retired Illinois teacher sold her paid-off Chicago home and moved to Clearwater, Florida, in cash. Her condo was modest, clean, quiet, and practical, with a screened balcony facing a small lake. At first, her fixed costs totaled $1,850 monthly, including fees, taxes, insurance, and utilities. By year 3, those costs had climbed to $2,640. Her Social Security rose only modestly, leaving a widening gap between income and reality for many households today. She is not unusual. By available data, she is fairly representative of many recent retirees from many families. Looking toward 2026, the question is not whether these pressures exist, because they already do for many families. The real question is whether insurance, water, infrastructure, and labor pressures begin compounding at once for many families. In the best case, regulatory reforms and investment stabilize markets and buy households more time. In a harder scenario, severe hurricanes, water cuts, and remote work reversals hit simultaneously for many households today. That combination would create motivated sellers in markets once thought safe, a pattern not seen since 2008. The households most exposed are not wealthy speculators, but families who moved with everything they had. They locked into peak prices in states that were revealing hidden costs too late to avoid. 8 states, millions of people, and decisions that felt logical because the public numbers looked reassuring. Yet the full picture was always incomplete, especially in markets moving too fast for careful evaluation. The hidden cost is never a secret forever. It arrives later, after the excitement has faded. It appears as a renewal notice, a tax assessment, a water bill, or a non-renewal letter. Sometimes it appears as a local government admitting the promised infrastructure is still years away. For many families, the central question is not whether these states are worth moving to in absolute terms. For many families, the real question is whether buyers were given the full picture before they arrived. For many households today, for most families in this story, the answer remains painfully simple. They were not.